What's going on, guys? So I wanted to do a quick little talk on multi-dimensional movement, natural movement, and the intersection of those, as well as what can distract us from a truly balanced and personalized movement lifestyle, and the way that you move, the way that you carry yourself, the way not just your body, but just every aspect of you, from your breath, your focus, and your awareness, to your mind, and the spaces you create, your heart, your center, what everything comes back to electromagnetically, and also your soul. So, when we're talking about multidimensional movement, and the way that I like to see it, in my perspective, it is all about having a greater integration of these aspects of yourself that I just mentioned. And it's an integration using the movement practice to bring that awareness and to bring an increased feeling of focus on your body, on whatever it is you're trying to create in your life. And so we're talking about natural movement. We want to incorporate all the movements that the human being can do in a very wilderness-like environment, as well as less wilderness-like environments in nature and in even urban settings. I would consider that natural movement to a human, because it's all movement that is getting us through, adapting us to all the various games that we play in this existence. And so when we go into sports and we go into different workplaces, and we start to question, like, what is the true need for this way of moving my body, and especially in the context of a certain end goal, because at the end of the day, we don't really need a lot of these systems that we're in. And so it's a whole viewpoint of, well, I can interact with the wilderness environments, and I can find that sustenance, I can find that sustainable integration of my body with the elements, and I can nourish my body from that source. And I can also have a certain amount of abundance to share. It's not so much about survival anymore, it's about how well connected are you. And the lifestyle that I also really closely resonate with, that has helped me become more connected, uh, even though there's still aspects of it that I know that I want to really connect even deeper on. There's aspects of I want to pick my own food rather than buy it from someone else, buy it from a grocer. And I try to buy local whenever it's available, but it hasn't really been available in New Jersey. But I don't plan to live here very much longer. And so the environments that I aim for are more tropical, where there's more of a fruit and vegetable abundance, and namely fruit. And so that is something that I thrive on, and I can find my body just needs less in general to really thrive and survive. So once we get out of this mindset of competition, what movements naturally come to you? Once we get into an environment that's a little bit more uneven, a little bit more just untouched by humans, a little bit more just wild in general. When you get in those environments, how do you move? And by moving to those environments, we find that we become much stronger and we become much more resilient and much more self-reliant and able to just thrive. So that is one aspect in my way of multidimensional movement and embodiment, is that I come into this perspective that there is so much strength for me to express just by being aligned with nature and my higher self. And so these multidimensional aspects. And then from there, you just connect to what your body wants you to express, whether through movement or stillness. And this is again where it comes into play. It's not just about the body, it's the whole package. It's this whole vessel, your whole philosophy, your whole way of living. And so this more simplified you can create that, then that allows for your diversity of a creative way of just exploring, adventuring, and allowing these experiences that strengthen you, enrich you, challenge you, so that you can go through your fears and see that they're just illusions. So once you have this perspective of, all right, I have all these weaknesses, now you can work with that. You can shift that into your strengths, and also just maybe you don't even necessarily work on it so much in a way that it needs to be strengthened. It's just, it needs to be acknowledged and integrated in a way where you protect yourself from having that compromise you. You have a vision of the way that you can move through the world. You have a better awareness of that. So that's where the natural movement comes in. Is it's like to crawl, climb, jump, run, swim, dive, and carry things and people, to be useful in a way that those situations don't always present themselves, but it is important to know that you could handle them or you couldn't. If you can't handle them in a certain way, then what way will you create to handle them? Or maybe you won't be able to create a way to achieve something, and you just have to let things be. And that's how you learn. That's how you learn what a weakness is, that it wants you to strengthen it. So in that sense, it's this shadow work. It's this understanding that there are dark aspects of myself just like there are light aspects of myself. There are strengths just as there are weaknesses, and vice versa. And so I really appreciate having the functional aspects, really just feeling good, and having my energy tuned to a certain frequency by my thoughts and by the way that I just allow myself to feel. So it's this clear intention and this feeling that I stay tuned into as often as I can. I tune back into whenever I'm not sure what to do, because the energy that I'm feeling around me, whether it's people, it's other vibrations lower or just crazy or whatever. There is no lower or higher. It's just like it's just different vibrations and different densities. Not to judge them. It's just like they're unique in that way, and they just don't serve you anymore, perhaps, or maybe it's too much information, it's too much light, and it's very difficult to process at that time. But you're never given anything in this life that you can't deal with. So that's that aspect. And then also to be expressive is really important. To be able to have this certain creative sensuality about your body. I find that to be extremely invigorating, and you first have to provide for yourself. You have to not be in a state of lack, of fear, of survival, of adaptation. And I find that what doesn't serve me is having extremely dense foods, and animal products in general. I don't really resonate with, and everyone is different, especially because we're all in different places, and maybe someone is at a certain journey of living off the land in a colder climate, and I see that, and I acknowledge that, and I respect that. But for me, I really just I enjoy the vibrancy of organic tropical fruits, and it just really keeps me going. And it's not just the food that keeps us nourished and energetic. It is, again, that vibration of your intention, of your feeling. So asking your heart, what do I truly need? And that could be at any given time. It could be so many different things. And those are all lessons. Those are all things to integrate into who you are. But it's also the elemental alignment of nature and of source energy, of the sun, the moon, and the stars, the sky, the winds, just breathing deep and having a certain allowance of that elemental energy through your body, through all your skin, all your pores, all day long, all your hair, not always up in a bun, but let it breathe and let it get a little bit of dirt, get your feet in the earth, and be able to be playful. And again, just allowing yourself to ask yourself, if you're having trouble, then find that little whisper in your heart that's saying, hey, just take care of this, and then we'll be good. And then take care of this, and then keep listening, keep holding space for yourself, so that you do not fall away from your center, and you don't become unbalanced and then lose your way of who you are, because you can't really find your way if you're in a state of fear. You have to come back to your center and realize that you are love and that you do not need to be in fear. So that was kind of a long little talk, and I want to also talk about again, that competitive aspect that we can sometimes see in sports, and we can see it in the workplace, although now, because of this worldwide current event, a series of propaganda and a lot of other things, we see that it's not so essential to be running around all the time working. Some people holding a lot of weight in that sense that they are still working in this way that people say this is essential. And I mean, you got to research for yourself, see what you would say to that in your heart. Because it's not about who's right or who's wrong, because everyone has a valid perspective from the way that they're living. But that said, you can't say that these people who are doing the research on who really has their interests at heart, which is always you. You have your interests at heart all the time. But if you did your research on that, you would see that it's a little bit questionable what's going on. Like, if you can smell through one of those masks, then I don't know why you're wearing it. But anyways, having this busy state of mind and body, and separating the mind and the body so that you do things like you're texting and you're hunched over, but like that's not in the best interest of your body. Your body wants to be filled with space, and when it's filled with space, it can just be a conductor for energy. And so that's how you have energy. It's not through putting more things into you. It's through clearing your body and your vessel, clearing your mind, and the energy is there. And so when you have a certain way of doing your daily routines and things, we can get stuck into certain disciplines that just are mindless, and they're not in tune with our body. So remembering what it is that brings you back to serving your body and your heart and your mind. And when you do that, you have more momentum for listening to yourself more and to listening to your intuition. And if you have a greater sense of intuition, then you will just find yourself more balanced. If you listen to that sense, because everyone has it. But how tuned in are you going to get? And when you see that you have all that you need in terms of your own balance, your own wisdom, your own power, your own love, when you have all those things, you're able to really just fit into other people's lives in a more harmonious way. You're not second guessing yourself when you enter into their space. You know if they won't be able to serve you on a certain project or whatever, or if they will. And you can see through that experience of your own inner world that these people and these tasks and these ways of movement are what bring me the greatest peace, harmony, unity, and love in my life. And that's all you really need, is like just finding that inner unity, that integration, as I was saying. So remember to just hold space for yourself wherever you are on your journey, and to find that you're going to remind yourself of this over and over and over and over until you actually learn it. And there's many iterations of these lessons, but it's unique to you. So it's like anything I say, it can be resonant or maybe not. And that's okay, because you have to find where you are in your frequency and what is serving you. Because if everyone found that, then everyone could start to put themselves with other people together more harmoniously. But as long as we don't find that and we keep distracting ourselves from, is this truly serving me? Then we're just going to have this discordant linear 3D movement. And it's always going to go in these cycles. But we can change that by changing ourselves. So this is a wake-up call to the many ways you can allow your body to shift and flow and create and serve and alchemize in this world. And it's amazing, like, having this perspective on my own movement, because I mean, I like to really run on the trails and the mountains and stuff, and to also have a certain kind of intentional strength and flexibility, mobility, skill, and just creativity. So like I just did an interval run today, and having that awareness of like where my body is, it's like I don't need to force my body to go super fast on these interval runs. Like, I just want to play with a certain speed, and the more I play with that, the less it feels like I'm competing against a certain version of myself, and it's just like I'm just being this version, and I'm being stronger, I'm being more agile, because these trails are twisty and rooty, and all these stones and things that you're jumping over, and logs and mud. But sometimes I just go in the mud. But I run in these guys. They got the little copper thing. They're pretty worn in now. You can see it. So this the energy of the earth goes through the copper into there. And I just like to be barefoot and be most connected with the elements. So it's like just simple things where you change the position of your body and you breathe and you just go with the breath. That brings you into this expansive state of movement where you can create so much, and you can follow that into a more gentle, a more vigorous, a more just internal movement practice. And from there, when you're aware of your internal world again, you can see the external world, how you fit through it, how you flow through it, and how you break it. You literally expand beyond it in a way that you don't need to limit yourself anymore. So, and I also really just love to climb things and to do handstands and to press and pull weights that are really heavy, and rocks and stones and logs and just all sorts of things. And calisthenics, I love calisthenics. And so all these things, they fit into movement in a way that I don't really need to label it anymore. I know what my body needs. If it needs a little kick in the ass to show myself I'm strong, to remind myself to remember that strength, and to be in that moment very present where I'm just aware of the way that my body is tensioning and relaxing, And so if I have a certain tight area, I need to relax that area so that I have better range of motion, and then I just need to do that movement, and I need to breathe a little deeper. But when it comes to other things like the skills of movement, it's just the more present you can become, the more immersed in that library of wisdom that is already in you. Your body is so intelligent. It's just genetic and energetic. Energenetic. And so it's amazing when you have this awareness. And it's like, I just know that for a fact there's so much stagnancy of my lower body because I find that I'm sitting a lot, just even on the ground or whatever, and it's like I can stretch out my legs and stuff, but like I'm always just playing with like my upper body. But like if I just like tensed and relaxed my lower body a little bit more, I would definitely feel that flow in that area. And so that's something that I'm working on. It's just more running, more climbing, more like mountains and hills, and as well as upper body, but biking, hiking, carrying heavy objects for distance. Like these are all parts of not just being a former and hopefully continuing obstacle course racing athlete. Once there's more races up, there's actually Spartan race in Florida, but it's just all these aspects that I don't necessarily like to label. I just like to do what my body is feeling called to, and to recognize there's better environments for movement than inside the house, that is. Or even the gym, really, because there's not a whole lot of stuff that conventional fitness does that is very aware of the body-mind. It tends to separate and isolate body parts, but really if you just move as a whole, you start to learn like how to strengthen those parts, but also how to make your body functionally and expressively and naturally much more integrated. And that's the multidimensionality, is like it's way beyond just like bicep curls, even though you can do them slower. I mean, you can do it with just your body weight, like just building that tension in your body. And then also, how is the rest of your body tensioned and positioned and creating that movement? So explore these ranges of motion and explore the intensity, explore the speeds, explore the breath, especially, and first and last, the breath. And just now, and just explore what makes you happy to move, because everyone's going to have a different place that they start at. So it's really important you just start with what just excites you the most, and building those thoughts about excitement, cultivating that space for enthusiasm, so that you get your body flowing. You don't worry about this, that, or the other thing while you're doing your movement practice, because that's been a challenge too, is like just having my mind clear when I'm doing my movement practice. I haven't always been in a thriving, abundant space. There's been a lot of programs around lack and emotional just deep and empathy for people who are just choosing to suffer, are all around me. And so it's like I just want to be free of that so that I can rise up. But in a way, I have to also go into that fear and into that difficulty. So hope this talk really was able to resonate or to shine light on certain things for y'all. and maybe just give you a kick in the butt to get moving in a way that really enthuses you, rather than just sticking to a routine around movement. Really just being present with that movement practice. It's like I still have Tai Chi and these 5 Tibetan rites and these calisthenics kind of in my practice, but it's like sometimes I just don't do it, and I'd rather just move my body fluidly. And if I'd like to, after that, after I get a certain expressive thing out of my body, like if my shoulders are tight, I'll focus on that. I'm not just gonna always do the routine just because it's the routine. I'm going to allow myself the multi-dimensional choice of there's so many things I could be doing, and I don't have to stick to one. And there's always a way to get enthusiastic about it. Even if you really just don't want to do it because of your ego or whatnot, but just let go of that. Find your center, let go of that, observe it, and just see like, hey, this is actually really good for me. It's really essential for me to be healthy, to me to be happy, to me to have some kind of practice that I can apply into the world to create abundance, and to just keep playing in this beautiful world. These birds came real close. So that's it. Lots of love, vision, and strength to, through, and from you all. And may you have a blessed rest of your day or night. I just had a bunch of cherries and some raw vegan chocolate delight things, which are pretty good, and some hemp bars, which are just like hemp and dates and macadamias. So that was good. Yeah, enjoy the elements, enjoy your multidimensional movement, and maybe meet again sometime. Peace.